This is Randy Signore coming from Movie Addict Central, and we got the movie boy Johnny Jeremy with us today. Come on.
Hey, you Jungle Boo.
Johnny Movie Boy, nice to have you. Can't wait to talk about this new film, Den of Thieves.
And I can't wait to make 1,000 frantic hand movements, a lot of silly noises.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that.
Beep, 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 beep.
And I love this movie, but where's all the sexy ladies at?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's all the sexy ladies at?
Huh? Sexy ladies comment. In this climate, ooh. I don't think any of you ladies are sexy. Yeah. Or you men. Ooh. I thought the movie was fine. It had a lot of guns. And there was thieves. Room 666.
Six guys!
Yeah, that's right. You better run. This is my home. And we don't like those garbage channels. You creeps. This is my room. And there's a new YouTuber in town and it's room 666. Sorry. Welcome to room 666. We're not going to be reviewing Den of Thieves because I didn't see that, but I did see Small Town Crime. It's a new film from Ishan Helms and Ian Helms, and the film stars John Hawkes, Octavia Spencer, Anthony Anderson, and Robert Forster. Let's get into it. Small Town Crime is about an ex-alcoholic cop who basically is just being a waste of space and fumbling through life until he finds a murdered young girl and decides to redeem himself by figuring out who killed her. It's your typical drunk, bumbling PI trying to solve a mystery, baby. Let's talk about it. All right. Ian Helms are the director of Small Town Crime, and as far as style goes, the film doesn't really have too much of that. The thing that stands out here, I think, is the story, the writing, even though that could probably be a little stronger. But the story itself is nice, it's done well. It's not something that we haven't seen before, but it's done in a pretty kind of straightforward and sort of easy to digest way that I think, a lot of people can enjoy if you enjoy simple crime thrillers. The basic premise is just John Hawkes just being a drunk kind of ex-cop trying to solve a murdered girl's murder. You find out why, if he's so determined to solve that, and I think that's a pretty cool aspect of the story. You see that in flashbacks. And there's a lot of cool things to his character and to the other characters around him that I think the directors and writers did well. It would just been nice to maybe see a director or directors who had a little bit more style to them. The film has hints of things like maybe like being like a Coen Brothers movie or something like that, but it doesn't always kind of reach that. It sort of falls flat. But the story itself and all the twists and turns and different things that happen, and the fact that also there is this sort of sense that anyone could die, which is also cool, that anyone could get murdered, and so that also kind of keeps you intrigued in the film. So, the style thing doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a, just my own personal sort of thing to pick at. I don't want you to think that I'm saying that's a bad thing, because the story itself and the film itself is actually very good and very entertaining to sit through. It starts off a bit slow and it takes a while to kind of get going and develop, but once it gets going, it really starts to pick up, and I think the pace starts to get better than the start, and so it's definitely worth a watch. It's just, they're not like some directors that I'm going to necessarily put out on my radar or anything, but it was definitely an enjoyable effort. John Hawkes, he is a great actor. He doesn't do a lot of things, but when he does do stuff, unfortunately, the film behind him is not always great, but his performances are great. This is sort of a cliche character, ex-cop. He's a drunk. He did some bad shit. He wants to redeem himself. And, in a lesser actor's hands, you could just see all the beats coming. You could just see all the things happening. But with John Hawkes, I think he elevates this kind of cliche character and adds a lot to him, gives him personality, really brings home the backstory of the character, really shows that he's just a sloppy alcoholic. It's just good acting because There's a lot of personality in John Hawkes and all of the performances that he does. He's a great character actor. He could be in a small role, something like 3 Billboards he was fantastic in, or he could really carry a movie, and I wish he was in more stuff as a leading actor. But here, he's not going to win any Academy Awards for this or anything, but he definitely is the reason why you keep going with this film and why you'll enjoy it as much as you do. But it's a nice little film to see, and he gives a nice little performance. John Hawkes, I'll watch you in anything. One of the supporting roles in this film is Octavia Spencer. She plays a character close to John Hawkes, and she's not really in it that much, but, you know, Octavia Spencer, she's kind of been doing her thing, popping up in these little roles, Shape of Water, you know, everything, Hidden Figures, all this kind of side roles where they're, you know, they're not really big characters, but, you know, when she's on screen, she makes a lasting impression. She brings a lot of personality, and when she needs to give that character heart or weight to what she's saying, Octavia Spencer is fantastic at doing that. So, you know, I can't really say anything. She just wasn't in it that much, but Octavia, see you around. See you again. All right, up next we have Anthony Anderson, who plays Octavia Spencer's husband, and I wanted to save this point about the movie for his section because the film isn't necessarily funny. There isn't a bunch of laugh out loud moments. And Anthony Anderson isn't necessarily the comic relief. Sure, he's a funny character, but he's not there to be the kind of wacky sidekick. He does some, not serious acting, but the acting he does is very good. It's not just there to be kind of the wacky brother-in-law. He brings a lot of heart. He brings a lot of weight to what the character has to go through, because I don't want to give anything away, but there's some scenes that Anthony Anderson has to play dramatic that, you know, could have been done for laughs, and he could have came off as it being for laughs, and he does a great job of just avoiding that. And, you know, I'd like to see him in kind of more roles like this, even maybe in something like a Coen Brothers movie or something, because I think, you know, he would bring a lot to it. It seems like he's got the chops to do that stuff. So, and like I said, it's not a bad thing that this film's not funny, because you don't really mind that there's not a bunch of jokes, and there are some of the jokes that don't really land completely. You'll just maybe chuckle, but Anthony Anderson does need to be comic relief, and I like that. All right, you got the legendary Robert Forster in this film, playing the dead girl's grandfather, and he's not in it that much either, but when he is, he plays kind of like this. He's basically the only person in that girl's family who really cares what happened to her and what happens to the people that, you know, committed the murder. And so he kind of plays, I wouldn't say he's like a badass grandpa, but, you know, he does at one point whip out a sniper rifle, and, you know, shit goes crazy from there. It's not like he's running around like Rambo and shooting things and acting all actiony, but he has some lines and some things where he's kind of just giving this sort of like, I don't care attitude. I'm ready to take down these guys. They murdered my granddaughter. And Robert Forster, you know, he's kind of that old school actor. He's in Jackie Brown. He's in kind of those exploitation films from back in the day, and a bunch of like cool stuff where he's playing that kind of cool guy, you know, and that's what Robert Forster does best. And then there's also Clifton Collins Jr., who's got a nice little role. He plays like this kind of gangster guy. He's always playing Mexicans, and I don't think he's Mexican. It's fine. He does very well at it. I just, you know, I mean, come on, I'm right here. You know what I'm saying? Put me in this flick. I could have played a great Cholo. Look at me. Clifton Collins Jr. is, I think, where the comic relief comes in. He's actually the funniest person here, you know, because he's kind of playing that Cholo caricature. And it's not like it's a bad thing, because Clifton Collins Jr. is a funny guy, and he's a great actor. And, you know, it's just, his character does a nice little turnaround in the film, and it's a nice little twist that he's got that I don't want to spoil. But, yeah, those are 2 cool little performances. You know, there's also these 2 hitmen that are in. I don't know the actors' names. I could have looked them up, sure, but I didn't. I forgot. They play these hitmen. They both do a good job, especially one who's got glasses. That's right. We'll put a picture up. You'll see them. We'll put the name down or something when we figure it out in the editing room. But now, we don't need to do that. This is my YouTube channel. In conclusion, Small Town Crime is not a film I would tell you to rush out and see in the theaters. It is currently on iTunes, and you can rent it, and I would suggest doing that. It's definitely worth it, because it's just a straightforward, nice little crime thriller. John Hawkes does a good job of playing the drunk, bumbling PI who's just, you know, trying to figure out a mystery. There's no flash, there's no flair. It's just a nice little violent crime thriller. It's worth your time, not necessarily on the big screen, but on the small screen. Check it out for sure.